Hello, my name is Marianne Enriquez, and I will be doing a video presentation on Cellier's general adaptation syndrome. This is chapter 6 on stress. So an introduction on Hans Cellier is that he's known as the father of the field of stress research. His research stemmed from medical training in Prague with patients that have a variety of illnesses. He started investigating non-specific symptoms instead of specific symptoms because he thought that it could lead to a different type of factor for why they had this illness, and he was right. It led to stress. Another thing that he focused on was the universal reactions of the body to different demands rather than specific symptoms of a disease. So he came up with the general adaptation syndrome with the investigation and experimentation on rats. And he came up with 3 phases. Those 3 phases are alarm, resistance, and exhaustion. The first phase is alarm, which is when the body's encountering that stressor. That stressor can be positive stress, trauma, sudden change. It could be daily stress. It's usually activated through fight or flight responses, which could lead to changes in an individual's physiological state. So, like releasing cortisol or adrenaline to that increase that heart rate or breathing, becoming more aware. The second phase will be your resistance. So, usually, if the alarm phase is not regulated, then it'll go into resistance. And that's when the body tries to adapt to that confrontation and restoration with stress. So stress needs to be stabilized, and eventually it could be resisted if the body adapts to that type of stress. However, if it doesn't, then it leads to the last phase, which is exhaustion. Exhaustion is when there's that long exposure of stress and the body just reaches that moment where it just depletes physically and psychologically. So an individual fails to overcome that threat and resources are usually diminished, and that leads to, depression, fatigue, illnesses, and even sometimes if that stressor is persisted, then it can lead to serious health issues, mainly like mental health disorders or clinically prescribed depression. So our last thing I want to talk about is criticism. So the general adaptation syndrome is criticized sometimes. So one of them is that it limits the role of psychological factors because there are many psychological appraisals of events that can enhance someone's stress. Another is that stressors do not produce the same biological responses in each individual. Resistance is considered the most damaging to physiological systems rather than exhaustion. And then stress is not always considered an outcome of something. It could be caused after something has ended or is about to begin. And that's my presentation. Thank you so much.